Gourmet milkshake, cupcake, and cookie shops are popping up all over the place. Now, we all know that sugar is bad for us, and new research points at added sugar as the main culprit for cardiovascular disease. February is Heart Month, so let's talk about it. Hey everybody, it's Dr. David. Thanks for continuing to watch us and sharing the love and subscribing and sharing all those things that you like to do. So, we know, of course, we've heard from ever how important our diet is, along with mental health, as well as our sleep and our exercise is to our cardiovascular and overall health. Now, in the 70s, we were told to avoid fat. Fat on the label meant fat on your body. And everybody started avoiding fat and went carb, carb, carb. And then all of a sudden we had more diabetes problem. So then things went in the opposite direction. We need to be keto. We need to be low carb. And everybody stopped eating all sugars and went to all kinds of fats. Fortunately, a lot of people learned about healthy fats as opposed to unhealthy fats. But now things have kind of shifted again to where we are talking about anti-inflammatory types of healthy diets. Things like the Mediterranean diet, the DASH diet. All of these are to help lower inflammation. Some carbs, especially whole food carbs, are acceptable. So what is actually going on here? Okay, now, there is some new research that just came out of Oxford University, and I want to get the title right here. It says, Association between types and sources of dietary carbohydrates and cardiovascular risk. And what they showed really is it's added sugar is the problem. Okay, so added sugars are something that's pretty easy to identify because they're on food labels, right? It says total carb, it says fiber, and then it says added sugar. Okay, and of course, when we eat out, it's a little bit more difficult to see. But a lot of restaurants nowadays are publishing their nutritional data on their websites or have it in the stores, so you can see how much added sugar is in there. Did you know that Coca-Cola, or other colas for that matter, have 39 grams of sugar, added sugar, per 12-ounce cup? That's crazy. Now, I also want people to be aware that sauces can really be high in sugar. A lot of Asian restaurants where people go and they have a lot of vegetables, and if they're doing tofu or doing steamed food, but the sauces could have tons of sugar in it as well. So be aware of those things too. Now, also, it's important to know rice. White rice is not considered a whole grain. The outer core has been stripped away where the fiber is. Brown rice, on the other hand, is considered a whole grain. So now, why is this so bad in the first place? So now, in those types of food additives, okay, and it's not just sugar, honey, syrups, certain types of pureed foods, fruit and vegetable juices, those are all sugars that have been processed in a way that the fiber has been removed. The cell wall has been removed. The fiber has been removed. So what happens when there's fiber present, carbs enter the body slower, a much slower metabolism. But when it's a simple sugar, an added sugar, shoots right up the blood sugar, and then the insulin has to quickly catch up to it, and then that goes right down from the insulin, and it goes down. Now, when there are spikes in sugar as well as in the insulin, that leads to insulin resistance, which then leads to type 2 diabetes. Okay. Now, in addition to that, triglycerides are also directly related by sugars. And we know that triglycerides have a significant impact on coronary artery disease and causing blockages there. Now, in this study, there was a study from a group of 110,000 people, and they looked at their health and their dietary data. And what they did is they had people compile 5 days around of what their total diet is so that it can be counted up as to what they were eating. Then they looked 9 years later to see how the people's health overall was. And what they found is that, first of all, total carbs did not impact overall cardiovascular health. It was the added sugars. And they found that added sugars was directly related to cardiovascular disease as well as a bigger waistline. But not just that, they found that the more sugar consumed among added sugar, that there was a direct related link to blood vessel damage, to heart disease and damage, to strokes. Okay? Now, added sugar leads to inflammation. Inflammation stresses our vessels. That leads to increased blood pressure. That's another reason why it's a problem. So you have blockage of the heart, you have diabetes, you have increased blood pressure, all of those things that are not so wonderful and in fact are killing lots of people eventually. Now, again, read those labels. That can make a big difference for you. The American Heart Association is recommending no more than 6 teaspoons of sugar for women and 9 per day for adults. For men, I meant to say. So, yes, a lot of us have short sugar cravings. I find that once I'm several days into avoiding those types of sugars, I no longer crave them very much. That's not everybody, but that's kind of a thing. The further you're away from it, the more that your insulin levels are able to kind of take a more of a smooth sailing type of approach, then you don't have those cravings as much. Now, of course, some of us do like our coffee and like it sweet. So I am now using monk fruit to sweeten mine. It's a zero carb sugar. Some people use stevia as well. I really prefer using the natural sweeteners over artificial sweeteners. But the main thing is, people can load up their coffees with flavorings and with sugars, and that's something that people may be drinking 2 or 3 times a day. So right there alone, a way of lowering sugar. But the candies, the baked goods, all of those types of things, really sugar, 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 and try to avoid them. Well, hope you have a good heart health month. But of course, we need to be treating our heart well all year long. Have a nice day.